Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 255 of the J Situation Podcast. I'm recording this on April 15th, 2025. How are all you wonderful folks doing today? Yeah, I hope you're well. I'm doing well. Pew Science team is very swamped. Really incredible analysis, incredible testing, all kinds of neat stuff going on. So thanks for being here today for the podcast. We are glad to have you. Super cool. I think it's tax day today, right? Individual filing deadline, right? Bummer. I hope you've gotten that done or filed your extensions. People listening to this, they're panicking. Oh no. As is becoming common, today on this episode, we will be introducing yet another 556 system data set. That's right, the BOE Mod 1 on the 14.5-inch M4. It's like Al Pacino in The Godfather Part 3. He's like, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. I was thinking about that line because I was like, how can I express what I'm feeling about this? You can never be too far away from 556 evaluations in today's market, right? In today's silencer market. So here we are again. BOE is a division of C Products Defense. Yeah, so you may know them from their magazines. Yeah, things like that. Interesting silencer. It will be a good intro to the technical report published with today's episode. Yeah. Also today, we're going to dive back into listener questions. Why? Because it's been a while. That's why. Yeah, I love it. You love it. It's good for everyone. I think I learn a lot by answering your questions, and I think a lot of folks listening do too. So it's pretty cool. Okay. So let's get on with the show. Again, if you've been here before, welcome back. If you're new to the podcast, big welcome. We're glad to have you. There are timestamps in the episode description for you to skip to wherever you would like. It doesn't matter where you're listening, YouTube, iTunes, Spotify, anywhere, even on the website. You can skip to the different topics with the timestamps. If you want to hang around with me a little longer, I'm going to read some ads because they do keep the podcast going. That's right. The podcast is sponsored by Legion Athletics. Nothing you do, exercise, sports, or anything is worth doing without consistency. You have to do things all the time if you want to be good at them, and Legion Athletics can help you with that. Whey protein, pre-workout, post-workout, creatine, vitamins, minerals. They don't have everything you need, but they have a significant amount of supplements to help you on your health journey, your fitness journey, wherever you are in that process. Visit legionathletics.com. There's a link in the show notes. It's very easy for you. You can use the code word PewScience to save 20% off of your first order. Keep using it every time you buy stuff from them, and you'll get 10% off net cash with points forever. Okay? Please use that stuff. Get strong. It's very important. We are also sponsored by Silencer Shop. They've done a lot for consumers in the industry, but really a lot for dealers, large and small nationwide. If you're looking to get started in the space and you're a dealer and can't hold a lot of inventory, you might want to use the kiosk. Your customers can do their fingerprints and photos electronically. You cut down on errors. You simplify your silencer purchasing process. Your customers get a money-back guarantee, which is pretty good. You don't pay any transfer fees when you buy silencers through Silencer Shop. You don't have any paperwork errors. It's just you and your silencer with no drama. Truly is silencer ownership simplified. It's a clever little slogan there, and it's true. Also, Top Gun Range Houston, they are a dealer. They're a silencer shop dealer too. They're in Houston. They're awesome. If you're just passing through, I know a lot of folks go to Houston for business. Why not take a little bit of time and head on down to Top Gun Range, 15-lane indoor shooting range, largest firearm rental fleet in the entire state of Texas. You can rent pistols and rifles and shotguns and machine guns, and you can rent silencers, which is huge. How many ranges do you go to where you can rent a silencer? Well, at Top Gun, you can rent a significant amount of them, and most, if not all of them, have PewScience data associated with them. So how about them apples? Check out the rental inventory at topgunrange.com. Shoot them a message on the Instagram at Top Gun Range, or just call them, go to the website and figure it out. I'm sure they have what you need if you are in the area. I know a lot of you are. Also, Capital Armory sponsors this podcast. Do you know about them? They're in Austin. They're pretty cool. Silencers are in high demand. There's all kinds of different places for you to get them. The approval times are very quick, which means that there's a supply problem. And whenever that happens, you as a consumer need options. So Capital Armory can help you with the paperwork as typical. of all great dealers, but they can also do something that's special. They can ship the silencer directly to your door. If you live in one of the 42 states where silencers are legal, you can order a silencer in your living room and have it shipped directly to that same living room. Yeah, it really is that easy. Capital Armory, silencer shipped directly to your door. Finally, this podcast is brought to you by the Pew Science Laboratory. I'm the technical director of the lab. In the interest of public education, we have chosen to continue to do this podcast. We run a public research effort that continues to push the silencer industry forward one test at a time. We are in our fifth year of public operation. We love doing it. The feedback from consumers and industry has been great by and large, so we're going to keep doing it. So visit pewscience.com for the suppression rating. It's the simplest, most accurate hearing safe rating for your suppressed small arms based on true human inner ear response of the entire gunshot from before combustion takes place all the way until all the combustion is gone and all the mechanical operation of the weapon system has ceased. Yeah, that's right. Pew Science is the home of the silencer sound standard. We created this for you. There are 7 sections, and it contains the most in-depth and accurate silencer data and analysis in the entire known universe. It's all available to the public at 24/7 at pewscience.com. That's right, it is. And if you would be so kind, you can support this podcast. It's supported by listeners like you. You can support Pew Science. You can support all the public testing by joining with a membership at pewscience.com. And there's a donate feature on the website. If you don't like monthly fees, you can give a single time donation if you want. You don't have to, of course, but you're free to. On the review page, the podcast page, every little bit helps. Something that's free and doesn't cost you anything, just spread the word. Let folks know that silencers and guns are awesome. Normalize the use of suppressed small arms by maybe sharing the podcast and letting folks know that they can learn about silencers for free. 2 topics for you today. Like I said, the BOE Mod 1 and the 14.5-inch AR, that'll be interessante. Yeah, very interesting, actually. And then topic 2, we're going to go listener questions. Okay, sound good? All right, cool. Topic 1, at a time of 7 minutes and 8 seconds. All right, very good. Topic 1, Sound Signature Review 6183. The BOE Mod 1 on the 14.5-inch mid-length gas 5.56 M4A1. That's yet another player entering the 5.56 suppression space. Is there 3D printing involved? Of course. Now, a bit of a twist with some conventional elements here that we'll go through. And so this is, again, the introductory discussion to accompany the technical paper published concurrently with this episode. Okay, one moment, please. Got to stay hydrated. Again, I've started doing powerlifting workouts immediately preceding the podcast recordings. I find that it keeps me sharper. I don't know why. It's probably the stimulant in my system. He's scary. Yes, just when you think you're taking a break from 5.56, they pull you back in. I don't know if you listened to the intro, but I was talking about The Godfather Part 3. Pacino is sitting against the kitchen counter. He's like, just when I thought I was out, they pull me back in. He's trying to get out of organized crime. And that's how I feel right now. Not the crime part, although that is the secret ingredient many times. It's okay. I just want to let you folks know how I feel about 5.56. It's not that I don't enjoy it. America's rifle and everything. It's not that I don't enjoy 5.56 NATO. It's just like, oh my goodness gracious, how many dang 5.56 silencers are there going to be? But although this is another 5.56 silencer, this is actually a little bit different in that it's not necessarily a 5.56 silencer. Because actually, this is a modular core system. And I know what you're thinking. And yes, I asked. I did. Because you already know where we're going with this. I asked C Products, who is the parent to this BOE silencer division. I asked them, can a consumer send the core back to you folks and then swap it out for another core? And they said yes. So that was cool. So you don't pay for the tax stamp. Okay, so the tube is serialized, and you can exchange the cores. And the cost, I'm told, is minimal for a completely different core, so that's neat. And turnaround time, am told is like between 24 to 48 hours or something like that. Now, as far as upgrades to new and improved cores, which is possible too, I'm told, the cost is probably like between 200 to 400 bones, something like that, depending what the customer wants. I'm sure C Products and BOE can give you more details on this. While I'm sure something like this has been done before, I'm sure something like this has been done before. I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sure I've forgotten something. Some of you silencer historians out there listening, I'm sure will remind me, which is great. Please let me know. I struggle to remember someone else doing it quite like this, so maybe I'm forgetting. And I'm sure when one of you tell me, I'm going to slap my head and be like, oh, of course. But it's just one of those brain farts, I guess. I think it's not common to be able to do that. Okay. So yeah, this has a changeable core, but for this study, we did in fact use a 556 core, and here's the thing with that. The outer tube is titanium, but the cores that screw into the outer tube are either titanium or Inconel. And so for this setup, we tested the Inconel core. That's right. So as you can imagine, because the entire core of the silencer can be removed from the tube, the core is monolithic. So it is in fact a monocore. And it's 3D printed, the core that is. So, and this is where it gets a little complicated. When writing this test report, describing the core geometry, I really have to say it took a second to type out in a concise way. It was a little challenging. And so I'm telling you right now, I'm going to butcher this if I go off of memory. So I'm going to read you what I came up with and wrote in the report that's going to be published in the morning. Because and you got to remember, the way that Pew Science and we describe silencer technology in the articles is not generally from the manufacturer. We might use some of the manufacturer trademarks and trade names for technologies, but when we describe the actual like technology, like physically, like the geometry and stuff, we don't use marketing lingo. We're telling you objectively what it is, and so I always try to do my best to explain that in like something that can help you understand it. But in this case, I was like, oh man. So what I came up with was, and let's see, I'm gonna go in the review here because the test report. Oh, that's right. So I labeled it as a Pew Science technology note. And here's what I have so far. And this might change between now and tomorrow morning, but this is what I have so far. The core design of the BOE Mod 1 uses traditional baffle cone geometry in a gross sense. However, the core is relatively unique in that all baffles other than the final distal baffle possess alternating radially angular surfaces that terminate longitudinally into an outer course lattice. This lattice forms the outer diameter boundary of the core. The longitudinal termination of each cone ridge forms the outer lattice wall. When the core is installed in the outer tube, its outer diameter does not touch the inner diameter of the tube. Therefore, there is an annular space between the core and tube. The geometry is best viewed in photographs on the manufacturer's website. And then I linked their website there, so you can click on that and then look at a picture. Okay. And there's more text in this, but you'll just have to wait for the article. But so what I do, I encourage you to go to their website. When you look at the photo or photos on their website, and then you read that description again, I think it's going to make sense. I think at some point, Pew Science is probably going to have to start have to post some photos and reports. I do recognize there has been not a large, strong desire for that, but there has been some desire from some readers. I want to kind of iterate a point, or maybe reiterate a point, because we've said it a lot of times. We really do shy away from doing the photos and the reports because it might get out of hand, the way you do that. And also, if there are no good photographs of the inside of the silencers, like for whatever reason, those reports would not have a photo, and then it would feel incomplete. You know what I mean? And then we'd have to start chasing that. That's a whole other thing. And then, so again, regardless, we try to explain the silencer's technology as best we can, while at the same time respecting, intellectual property and things like that. There is no simpler way I could think of to write what is written in the article today, or that you'll see in the morning. I could not think of a simpler way to write that paragraph. So I hope it's adequate for you when looking at the picture. I think maybe when we release the Pew Science glossary, that will have definitions of common blast physics terms, of course, and we may include some photos of cores as well as prompts there. That would be cool. It might be a cool coffee table book or something. That would be really fun and useful. And then also have it on the website, of course, to help readers with articles. So that's my plan for that. That's not done yet. One second. So, excuse me. I'm sorry. I gotta get more water. So yeah, we'll do the technical discussion next week. But as you can see from looking at the core photos on BOE's website, the name of the game with this design is what? What would you guess? What would you guess the name of the game with this design would be? Surface area, right? That's right, surface area. How much surface area can you come into contact with during your turbulent flow propagation, while at the same time still keeping the blast loads moving through that silencer? That appears to be the major motivation of this design, and I should say we have been aware of this design for a very long time, long before this was BOE, long before we had any relationship with C Products, long before they were a client. Technology tends to be acquired by different companies and things and done this type of design I have seen before in my travels, and we at Pew Science have always wondered how it would perform and how it would behave, and I feel very fortunate that we got to find out firsthand. It's a really cool day when something you see that's interesting ends up coming across your desk just later, and then you get to evaluate it. As an engineer, it's cool. It's cool when you see something and then you get to lay hands on it and evaluate. It's cool when you design something and then see it in the wild too. I've been on that side of it, not in the silencer industry, but other industries. That's cool. I do, in fact, love this job. It's hard, but I don't think I'd be, what is this, episode 255 or something? And article 183, come on. You got to love it, right? You got to love it to keep doing it. And I hope that comes across to you, that this is a joy to do. And it's not necessarily about the high performance or the low performance. It's about all of it. It's like, what are these technologies doing? And what are we going to find out every time we do it? And that is like such a joy to me. It's that inquisitive joy. And so when you look at this report in the morning, it'll be live at 0700 Central or thereabouts. One thing you may notice right away when you view the report is the suppression rating is very high. The composite rating is really nutso, and the reason for that is, you can do your drum roll. You guessed it, the muzzle suppression rating. That's right. You can get a really high composite rating if you have a really high muzzle, if you have a really high ear, or maybe you have a kind of a high muzzle and ear, it can skyrocket. This Mod 1, the BOE Mod 1, it's a muzzle suppression bad mamma jamma. It will suppress the heck out of muzzle blast, and we tested this on the M4 with a solid end cap for this report. You can use solid or vented end caps. You'll learn about that. So you can imagine the solid end cap produces very significant suppression. We did not evaluate the silencer on the M4 with the vented end cap, but we did evaluate the different end caps on the Mark 18. So you will have to wait for that. Suffice to say, I can tell you right now, back pressure does change when you change the end cap, as you would expect from our different our different reports over the years. Although you know that differs over different technologies, of course, but I can assure you it does change with this particular technology as well. The back pressure does go down when you add a vented end cap. You do protect the shooter, the operator of the weapon system in the free field to a greater degree with a vented end cap, so that's something you should know. So we'll get into the technical discussion next week, like I said. But this is a silencer where you will likely want to tune your gun if you use the solid end cap, and you're going to have a very quiet time probably that way. And with the Inconel core, you're going to have low sparking. With regard to flash, I think you probably have low flash with all the cores, which is different than sparking. But, we haven't evaluated that, so we would need to evaluate it at night to give you a definitive conclusion with that. But you can also ask C Products or BOE, and they might be able to elaborate on that a little bit. One moment. Okay. What else? Oh, right. So the silencer is hub mountable, and on this particular weapon system and all the 5.56 weapons it was tested on at our lab, we used the BOE muzzle brake QD mount, which is a left-hand dual taper mount. Yeah, haven't seen one of those yet. So it's kind of like the Dead Air Xeno mount, or kind of like the Cat, whatever they call that mount, the left-hand one, and the Xeno's left-hand, and this one's left-hand, but it has two tapers instead of one. The other thing that's interesting about this particular mount, it's a muzzle brake, it's sort of like a compensator, like a cherry bomb in a way. So it might be that this particular mount on this particular silencer we're testing from C Products, it might be that mount is influencing early time flow rate, like early time back pressure. There's a possibility there. I'm not 100% on that right now. I think there's a possibility. The silencer is not short. This is their full size Mod 1. The Mod 1S will come. This is the Mod 1. It's definitely a full size rifle silencer, and with the mount tested, I think it comes in over 7.5 inches long with everything, in it and stuff. So that's not compact by any means, right? The tube is titanium, and with the Inconel core, I wrote this down here, and it's in the article, everything weighs 20.6 ounces without a mount. That's 20.6 ounces without a mount, and when you add that mount system, you're up at 26.1 ounces. So not crazy heavy, but not super lightweight either. Just trying to give you a feel for the size and the weight of the system, so you can kind of like calibrate your brain. So you're gonna see these M4 suppression rating metrics at the muzzle and ear, and you're going to definitely take notice of both, and each for a different reason. It's an excellent case study, frankly, in silencer flow rate, and I'm excited to conduct the technical discussion with you next week because it's quite the interesting case here. Some things are happening that may not be intuitive to some people, and I like learning stuff like this. It's very interesting to me. Also, some really cool comparative analysis is possible with the suppression rating, particularly at the shooter's ear. I think when you look at the M4 data set now, and you're going to see where our shooter's ear ratings are sitting and realize how dang hard it is to get them high. It's harder than the Mark 18. And the consequence of the longer dwell time and the bigger gas port is kind of becoming a little more clear to people. And tuning your gun can certainly matter for suppress use. That's one big takeaway on AR systems. You think back to Article 6110 and 6111. I know it was a Mark 18 article, but remember 6110 and 6111, the maximum defense DSX on the Mark 18 and the Surge. Remember, gas port was the only variable there. Same silencer, same gun. Gas port was the only variable. What happened? Suppression rate of the shooter's ear jumped. Don't forget that research, okay? It's very relevant even today. It was several years ago. So I don't want to steal thunder from the report and the technical discussion next week, so I'll leave you with this for today. Check out the research. Realize just how quiet you can make a 5.56 rifle, and bask in the glory that is the silencer industry expanding such that really even magazine companies are making silencers. I mean, this is crazy when you think about it. And C Products Defense is making these silencers in-house. Yeah, dude, that machining and 3D printing. So what a time to be alive, dude. Like, make some mags, make some silencers. I don't know. Never thought I'd see the day. Here we are. Everyone and their mom getting in the silencer game. I'm not mad about it. I think it's cool. Like, Pew, now, there's a lot of people who don't like it. Pew Science loves it. I don't know why. I actually don't know why anyone wouldn't like it. It's not like the pie is getting smaller, guys. Like, relax. The market's like not even tapped. Like, there's plenty of room for everybody to make silencers. Like, don't get all scared. It's awesome. Okay, so please check out the report. I'm sure there will be many questions, and please stay tuned for more BOE and C products. You'll get some Mark 18 data analysis with multiple end caps. I don't know the exact date for that, but we have a pretty packed schedule. We'll slot it in. Okay, so again, technical discussion currently scheduled for next week's episode. Now let's do listener questions at a time of 25 minutes and 24 seconds. Okay, this is making good time because I have a lot to do for tomorrow morning. So let's 1 second. Okay, listener questions. They're back. More from the 7th solicitation. Your queries are numerous. They are thought-provoking. They are useful. All of your questions are great. And one thing that you always have to remember is that chances are someone has the same questions as you do. Okay, so we're going to continue to do our best to answer them for you. And always remember, if you want to hear more listener question segments, please don't forget about the listener question metadata tag on the website. You can find that with a Google search externally. You can find that internally on our website. You can find it on today's episode on the website. And if you click that tag, you will find every single episode with listener questions answered. And we are inching closer and closer to 600 question and answers, which is, I would venture to say, probably the most in suppressed small arms ever in one place. So there you go. Let's do it. We're going to open our spreadsheet here. See what you have in store for us today. You guys are so cool. You have so many cool questions, and they're great. There's so many in the solicitation, too, so we haven't even... I don't know if we're halfway done yet or not, but we're getting there. Okay, so we left off last time on this segment with question 550, local question 48 from this solicitation. And the question was, how much does an adjustable gas block affect the need, quote unquote, for a flow-through can? That was a great question. And I think it was an important question. If you would, I don't remember exactly how I answered at the time, but I know I did speak about the report 6110 and 611 as an excellent question. I talked about different Huxworks stuff. I talked about hybrid designs. So if you want to listen to that answer in detail, please find the last episode, Listener Questions, with question 550, and you will get that. Okay, so let's pick up after that where we left off on question 551. Sub-question, is my numbering system wrong? Dude, hold on. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going to pause this real quick. Okay, I'm back. There must have been like some kind of error in the Excel double click. Okay, so last question was 48, right? Yeah, okay. So new question, 551, sub-question 49. Can you explain how some of the cat tech works, or is it too proprietary? That's an interesting question. Okay, let me read that again. Can you explain how some of the cat technology works, or is it too proprietary? Okay, I think I understand your question. Interesting. Yeah, sure. No, thank you for the question, sir, ma'am. Yeah, no, sure, no problem. And just because a technology is patented or proprietary, it certainly doesn't make it so that you can't speak about how it works. Yeah, don't get it twisted. I mean, in fact, I think every technical paper on our website examining cat silencers talks about how they work. We do make it a point to give that information if we can shed any light on the inner workings of different technologies and stuff to the reader and the client. I mean, we write out all that ourselves. They don't come up with that. That's not marketing, dude. That's Pew Science. And to be clear, I sense some danger here. I don't want to turn this into a huge cat topic or something. Let me give you an abbreviated version, and then you can look at the specific technical articles for each of the silencers. Like if you need more details, let me give you. So I would say, to sum it up, you're asking about cat technology. And I recognize that you probably asked this question like a couple months back, but I think the name of the game in all silencers from Cat that Pew Science has evaluated so far is proper pressure staging and blast load management from start to finish. There isn't one part of a cat silencer that doesn't have a purpose, like from start to finish. It's from the blast loads entering the silencer to exiting. And when I say pressure staging, that's a shorthand way of saying that the different blast pressure and impulse states inside the silencer are dealt with differently as they change throughout locations in the core. So when I say blast load management, that's a shorthand way of saying, like, to create and manage turbulence and heat transfer while avoiding stagnation. It's also reflection management is very important. This is why pretty much all cat silencers have a high early time flow rate. Like they do work super early with these silencers. They know that you don't have a lot of time. It's a dimension of time. How many times can we iterate that on the podcast, and that's another reason they're so quiet. The cat silencers may not come out on top for signature reduction like in every single category, but for the size, they're usually near the top. So for a given design envelope, the performance is usually pretty nuts. And I would call that performance efficiency. I would say that. Now, I would say that's probably the best, most broad, like abbreviated technical description I could give you, like in this context, like on the podcast like that, right? Like, I mean, they do have different technologies, like you can name them, right? You got SB shock and the SC, surge bypass and in the DD, the WB, the SR, the ODB. Those are all surge bypass. And then you got diverge in the mob. That's crazy. And then you got sniper 2 in the JL, right? Sniper 2 in the JL. Is there anything else that we've tested? The DD. Oh, no, I mentioned the DD. Yeah, because the DD has surge bypass like the WB does and the ODB. All these technologies are related, but they're all different. They're little tweaks, and they all follow the principles I stated earlier. They're related in that there's a design philosophy. Okay, so I hope that helps. I do think the technical articles may be helpful for you as well, sir or ma'am. You can do a search on our website for cat and find a tag and read. I think every single cat article has a technical description of what it's doing in the like what's happening. I can assure you this stuff is real. It's not gobbledygook or like jargon. It's the words I use in those articles are real words. They mean things. Sometimes I think people think it's just like slop or something, but it's real. Question 552, local question 50. Man, that's crazy. 50 on the solicitation already. Any developments in your SCAR research activities? Bless you and the family. Well, thank you so much. Best wishes to you and your family as well. I appreciate that. Family's doing great, so thank you. With regard to the SCAR, man, there has not been a lot of time for SCAR things right now. Right now, it's been, what has it been? Most of my time's been getting new apparatus up and running for the lab. In my off time, I've been shooting the Walther PPK in 32. I know that's like the antithesis of a SCAR. I know it's a lot different than a SCAR. Look, for me, I just don't have a ton of time to shoot for training and recreation. And so when I go, I tend to focus on a singular thing. And the PPK has just really been scratching my itch lately. I don't know if I think at my core, I'm a pistol shooter. Just like personally, this isn't like a Pew Science thing. Just for me, like my shooting, my center fire firearm experience in my life started with semi-automatic combat handgun. Like everyone starts differently in their life. I started later in life, and for me, it was semi-automatic combat handgun. That is like my what's the word for that? Origin. That was my origin for center fire small arms. And the PPK, it's cool to me, and I've been doing it, and I just really enjoy shooting pistol. And suppressed pistol is just one of my favorite things to shoot. Not everyone a lot of people don't like suppressed pistol. I do. And and I've been shooting that one a lot. And part of me shooting that a bunch has been trying to see if I can break that SC on it. Actually, so far, that silencer doesn't care about suppressing 32. It just does it and doesn't break, so that's cool. With regard to the SCAR, getting back to that, I don't really want to advertise which silencers I've been using on it when I do have time to shoot. I just don't want to make people think I'm endorsing silencers. I have a hard enough time telling you I use a Cat SC on the PPK. I'm sure people are mad about that. People get really mad at Pew Science, the company. That people get mad at the lab when the technical director, me, uses a silencer, as if we're not going to use our own analysis. It's like the craziest emotional stupidity. But I don't like drama, so I just avoid even telling you what I shoot because people are so upset. I love the SCAR. I love the adjustable gas system. I have been toying with the idea of getting a 5.56 SCAR just because I think the platform's cool. And it's not because FN is a member of Pew Science. I just love the SCAR. And it's not like I love the MP5 because HK is a member of Pew Science. No, I love the MP5 because it's awesome. I love the SCAR because it's awesome. I like weapons that are good and cool. And HK and FN make awesome weapons. The end. So I don't have a SCAR update for you other than that it's cool. I actually met with the FN team at SHOT Show. We talked about SCAR a little bit. The head of the SCAR program is cool. He's a nice guy. It's out there, dude. Question 553, local question 51. What is your favorite Taylor Swift album? Oh. How did I not screen this out? Sir, I'm a heterosexual male. So I have a family. I don't really have an answer for you on that. No, I'm messing with you, dude. It's fine if you like Taylor Swift or whatever, dude. I don't care what you do in your off time. Yeah, I'm not going to judge you, but dude, honestly, I have no idea what favorite Taylor Swift album. Dude, I couldn't even name one of her songs, man. I don't listen to that type of music. I listen to a lot of different music, but I do not listen to, I don't know. I'm simply not familiar with that. I know who she is because she's on TV all the time. And she's dating that football player guy, right? For the Chiefs, whatever his name is. I don't even watch football. I watch MMA. So, look, dude. She's in pop culture. I don't know what she sings or even if she plays guitar or whatever. She might. Not my thing, dude. If you're into Taylor Swift, that's cool. If you have a recommendation of a song I should listen to, that's fine. But I don't think I'd like it. She doesn't seem... just looking at her, doesn't seem like she... I guess you can't judge a book by its cover. Maybe she does sing some cool things. I'm not a... Does she sing country music? Or is it just pop music? I'm not really a country music type of person. I do old country, maybe Johnny Cash type, Dolly Parton's good. Patsy Cline. That's some good country. Taylor Swift's not country though, right? She's pop music. Question 554, so question 52. How can we properly extrapolate your data to cans that you have reviewed to K or full size? For example, Velos K and full size Velos. Oh. Gonna make me think tonight, dude? Hold on. Man. That's a good question, sir or ma'am. How do you properly extrapolate the test data? Well, the answer is you generally can't, but sometimes it might be possible to do in a rough sense, especially as the data set gets bigger. That's where the power is, right? How do you extrapolate things? Well, the data set gets big, your extrapolation becomes more. Is that how data works? Yeah, usually when there's trends. No. I mean, it's a fair question. It's a good question. It's a fair question. I think it becomes more possible when you understand the technologies really well. If you take, for example, the Surefire RC2 and the Mini 2, in 5.56. We have a pretty good idea how to extrapolate because those designs share so many similarities and we understand them very well. Because we've tested them so much and we've gotten all up in them. Now, or maybe take, for example, Otter Creek Labs Polonium series, the Polonium K. Again, super easy to extrapolate there. Actually, one of the most simple cases of data and risk extrapolation in the pedigree, in the research pedigree, because that's the same silencer, just one has more baffles. And another thing, Otter Creek Labs is very similar to Q in that way, with their Trash Panda and Thunder Chicken, stuff like that. Very similar case, almost too similar. Half Nelson and full Nelson, very similar cases, guys. Similar cases. Being able to extrapolate from what we understand silencers do when they get shorter, when we understand when they get longer, and what they do and they don't do. Now, in most of these cases, due to those designs, you really simply assume that the K silencer was going to have lower back pressure and be louder. Now, that's the extremely oversimplified case, because it might be a lot or a little lower back pressure, and it might be a lot or a little louder. It just depends. And sometimes back pressure doesn't change that much because it's early time dependent. It depends on weapon system. Remember the Wolfman? We just talked about that last week in the technical discussion. That's the same silencer, long and short. Did the back pressure change that much? Not really. Kind of. Late time it did, but early time did it? No. Should a wrist change at all? No. Okay, so remember. So what else? What about speaking of things that are not simple, what about when things get a little more complicated, like the Velos, like you mentioned, sir, in your question, Hyperion, full size, and Hyperion K, things like that. Now, I think you can certainly extrapolate up to a point, but you really have to understand the technologies in each silencer. And if you ever have a specific question about this, like that's actually what a pro membership is for on our website. And you can also just simply email us, and we will get to your question either way. It's just that members get priority. So hope that helps somewhat, sir, ma'am. It's a good question, but there's no easy answer. You're just going to have to learn, and you can learn. All the information's there. Question 555, sub-question 53. Another cat question. Okay. Do you assume cat cans are going to be ranked high in your rankings? Do I assume? Do you assume? You know what they say about assumptions. Do you assume cat cans are going to be ranked high in your ranking? In your rankings, so in the Pew Science rankings that are based on literal test data and analysis? It's an interesting question. Thanks for asking that. I guess I don't know. It's an interesting question. I mean, I'm gonna cut to the chase. First of all, the answer is a strong no. We actually never assume any silencers or brands will be ranked high or low. We don't assume anything before testing, because there are things we don't know about specimens that are being sent to the lab, and why would we assume it's useless for us? Now, when it comes to well-known silencers that have historical relevance and large public opinion baked into their existence, I think my answer is somewhat different. We can sort of assume, for example, that the AAC M42000 has high back pressure. We did assume that before we tested it, and spoiler alert, we were right. YHM Turbo, of course we assumed that was going to have high back pressure. Same thing. Why? Well, we had the benefit of tribal knowledge that was widespread. And some firsthand experience anyway, But it's dangerous. You can see how easily that would burn you, right? Take Surefire. This is a great example that it's very public and everyone knows about it. I hope you know about this. If not, you're in for a treat. Everyone and their mother called Surefire silencers loud for years. I can find, if you would like me to dig it up, I can find the very well-known silencer company representatives who said it. That everyone loves their company. It's what, you think it was just consumers saying it? No, dude. You know how much mess freaking silencer companies talk about each other? It's they're like children. So everyone and their mom called Surefire silencers loud for years. Then what happened? Pew Science tested the 556 RC2, and all of a sudden, people came out of the woodwork and said how much they loved it. And what happened? What happened from all that? We proved it wasn't the RC2 people were calling loud. It was the damn RC2 with the war comp that people were calling loud all these years, but no one knew it. Why? because no one had done actual real testing of the RC series like over a full decade, basically. And so now Pew Science has learned you don't want to assume anything. We thought, test these are so popular, but everyone thinks they're loud, so they'll probably be loud. Then we test the RC2, and everyone's like, yeah, RC2 is awesome. I'm like, where the hell were you for 10 years? Oh, that's right. You were buying war comps because the YouTubers told you to, because the war comps are great. That's what everyone. Oh well, but Grantham said, and look, I'm not saying derogatory things about Mike, nice guy Grantham, but come on, okay? They watch the videos, you see the damn gas leaking out with your own eyes. So look, getting back to your specific question, like these assumptions, like regarding cat, like I'm not trying to dodge your question. I told you the answer is no. I would say now that that specific company, Cat, has been a lab client for quite some time, we have a good feel for how a lot of their technologies work, just like we have a good feel for how a lot of other technologies from a lot of our other clients work, like Resilient, Otter Creek, Diligent Defense, Liberty Precision Machine, Huxworks, LMT, now BOE and C products. Who was a recent one? Centurion Arms. What's another one? Echo Zulu Defense. Four Systems. I'm thinking about like recent clients. Like, dude, as we evaluate more silencers for these clients, we start to learn their tech. When we learn their tech, we start to get more information. When you get more information, you can start to forecast, guys. Like, we have evaluated so many things for all these companies that you have seen, and so many things that you have not seen, or you may never see. So of course we do have informed forecasting opinion of what may do what performance wise. You get that from experience. But I would also say there are companies with new stuff, and Cat, for example, they will release new tech, and it might be completely different than some of the other stuff. Same with Otter Creek Labs. That's a good example for you. The Infinity that we tested recently, you saw, completely different than their Polonium series, obviously. So my answer is no. Again, no. We don't assume any one brand will be ranked high or low, but we can make educated guesses based on the technologies. PTR. God, thanks, brain. I forgot that one. Of course, now that when I see another silencer using purposely induced porosity, am I going to assume it's going to be loud? I can tell you in the very, very, very beginning, when PTR was at first a client and you guys didn't even see what we were testing for them, some things didn't do so hot, and you're never going to see that stuff. But the stuff that they did revisions, and when we test them, they were doing really great. So, guys, this is like sometimes your question has no ill intent, sir or ma'am, and I think it's a great question. I want to make sure, I want to be very crystal clear. Like, assuming is dangerous, but with knowledge comes power of forecasting capability. Again, we don't want to assume any brand is going to be ranked high or low. We can make educated best guesses based on the technologies. If we're familiar with how they work, if we see cutaways, you got to realize that we can't predict performance of silencers by seeing internals. But our experience does allow us to forecast with probably higher accuracy than the layman typically, I think. So I hope this answer is satisfactory to you. The answer is no, but the more we test Cat stuff, the answer changes to they're probably going to do pretty good. And I think any reasonable person would agree. One second. Let's do a couple more. It's getting late, but let's do a couple more. Question 556, sub-question 54. Will y'all ever, and they did say y'all, will y'all ever do testing of 3D printed designs? The tech seems to be coming a long way. Oh, I know what you're asking, sir or ma'am, about like home 3D printed, not like, because obviously we're testing and analyzing 3D printed systems like the BOE Mod 1 that you're seeing today with today's episode, but you're asking like home at home, like for the consumer, the hobbyist. So I've answered this before, but let me give a comprehensive. So yeah, we've gotten this question probably since we launched the standard 5 years ago, and my answer has varied. Over those years, I started 5 years ago saying no, absolutely not, and then I think it's gradually morphed to like maybe, and then I think it's evolving slowly, and it's evolving based upon the home 3D printing technology evolving itself, like any technology does. And I will say that my answer and our policies are directly related to the safety of our personnel. It has nothing to do with ATF. We are a licensed Type 7 FFL with O2 SOT. We do not have any issue accepting a test specimen from someone. It's not a problem for us administratively and legally. We also, I will tell you for the record, our company stance is that we believe in the complete deregulation of small arms. So believe me, like philosophically, we're on board with this concept. Safety-wise, we have two primary concerns, and they're real. The first is, again, the safety of our staff. That's number one. It's the most important thing to us in our business. It's more important than you, the members. It's more important than our revenue. It's more important than our research. The safety of our staff is the most important thing. If you kill somebody, then why do any of this? Okay? I want to be very clear. This is like not a game to us. We run a research test lab. Like, if your labs that you're going to for work, wherever you do in whatever industry, and safety, if safety is not their number one thing, then go somewhere else, because you guys are working with the wrong people. The second concern is the safety of the public. Again, safety. That priority, that is the public facing number one priority of Pew Science. After the safety of our staff, which is obviously the most important thing to us as a business, the second is public safety. And that should be very evident to you with a suppression rating scale and the way it works. And remember, before Pew Science, all the sponsor companies saying everything was hearing safe. Remember that? You remember that, right? You remember that. You remember that the sponsor companies told you things were hearing safe. You remember that. And they never told you a dose limit, did they? That's right. Suppression rating scale exists for public safety. It shows you how loud AR-15s are. If you're not wearing hearing protection shooting an AR-15, I'm sorry that you haven't read the scale. So we shy away from publishing things that may be dangerous. We thought long and hard about publishing wipe silencer data, for example. We feel wipes can be dangerous to the layman, and one thing that pushed us to do it was that companies were selling products with them and endorsing the use, including them with the silencers, so they carry that liability, not us. And so what do we do to deal with that? We simply provide warnings in the articles in the hopes that you would read them. That's all we can do. But the warnings are verbose and they're up front. And with a home 3D printed silencer, when we eventually evaluate one or more of those silencers, which we will, our attorneys will have their hands in some language that in the reports, and that's true. And I also, here's me personally, I'll share with you some more personal philosophy. I don't want a kid printing something dangerous and blowing it up and hurting himself or hurting his family or his brother or sister or his dad or something like it, or his mom. That's not in keeping with the Pew Science spirit and keeping with public safety goals and mandates. I hope this makes sense. Like I will never forget when Pew Science, around, I don't know if it was when Pew Science first started, but a couple years back, I saw on social media some well-known silencer designer talking about how he would shoot. Oh yeah, I was doing R&D and I was shooting and it broke and it hit a car. And I was like, what? Your testing protocols for your products are so lax that you have a car inside an exclusion zone for live fire that you own? Like, what? Like, and you're saying that publicly? Like, that's to me like a huge red flag. Or I'm sorry, that was to me and us at Pew Science a huge red flag about just how Wild West this whole industry continues to be with regard to safety. There are no safety regulations at all. You got freaking guns going off in holsters, all the time and stuff. I'm not going to get in there right now, but it's like, dude, come on, man. It's like, we're so damn scared in this industry of regulation because everyone wants to take guns away politically, and that fear of that type of regulation has made all regulation a dirty word. It's like, firearms are supposed to protect lives in self-defense. We're entitled to defend ourselves. That's our God-given right. Our God-given right to self-defense. A lot of us are blessed to live in a country where we have protections to unalienable God-given rights. Our laws don't give us rights. Our laws protect the rights we already have. So why on God's green earth would I endorse unsafe use of products that are supposed to protect us? That's my answer about 3D printed designs from people's houses. Sure, we'll test them, but not until we can be assured we're not going to hurt people. I'm sorry, I got a little soapboxy on that one. Question 557, sub-question 55. This is the last one. Pew Science merchandise. When? Let us rep and support you more, please. Oh, you're such a sweet person, sir. I remember who asked this. You're so nice. Look, I do recognize we will eventually need to do this. This merchandise thing. We run a pretty lean operation. I don't want to add complication to this stuff. We need to do it though. Perhaps now that my kids are getting a little older here, we can maybe they're going to need some cool swag to show how hip they are around the other children when they play. I recognize being cool is very important, and Pew Science is very cool. I hear that. It's what the kids are saying. So maybe we create merchandise to show how cool you are by repping the Pew Science. Thanks for the question, sir. Thanks for your desire to support us. It does mean a lot. This is hard. So, you guys make it worth it. I mean, seriously, you guys asking these questions is awesome. It makes me feel like you're paying attention. You participate in stuff. It's like there's nothing more I love when people are learning stuff. I got this thing today. Not today. Was it today? I posted on social media. Hold on. I'll pull up my phone. I didn't plan on talking about this, but let me see if it's still there. I posted to a story on Instagram. Crap. Hold on. My phone's going slow. Oh, crap. It deleted it because it was yesterday. Okay. I can't remember what it said, but basically I'll summarize. This guy, he is a longtime Pew Science listener and member, podcast listener, Pew Science reader, member. He and I talk a lot because we have he actually was one of the ones who loaned me some of the Knights stuff for the Knights test program. He sent me a nightstick before I ended up buying one for the lab. He's a hell of a guy. Smart guy. He works in tech, I think. Nice. And he loves sharing the gospel of suppressed small arms. He loves taking people shooting that haven't shot silencers. And he uses Pew Science data for his purchases because he knows it works. And he just shares the love of having this. He likes the power of the suppression rating just like I do personally. And he sent me this. He took a bunch of rifle silencers out the other day with his buddies, and they shot him. And he reported back to me. He told me, he's like, man, the data everything lined up with the data analysis. And I saw that, and I was like, man, 5 years running we've been doing this. People are using this data to help. They're helping others. They're helping themselves. It is so emotionally strong to me. That's an emotionally I get an emotional reaction when I see that. I legitimately love how well this has worked for everybody. And I couldn't be more pleased with it. I couldn't be more pleased with you folks that ask questions. I couldn't be more pleased with the feedback over these past 5 years. And just thank you. Okay, thank you all. So that's it. That's all I got. I'm going to highlight this row of questions. We left off here on question 55 or question 557 of the whole thing, which is nuts, dude. We're going to hit 600. Maybe we should like give away something. Like I was talking to someone about like the giveaway rules, and it's like you can get in trouble if you like don't do it right. But save, close. Okay, that's done. Thank you. We're about to hit an hour. That's a perfect timing. Stay tuned. 7 a.m. Central Time this morning, Wednesday morning. You're going to get this BOE Mod 1 article, and we'll see what you think. Okay? Stay safe out there. We'll be back next week to talk technically. I will talk with you folks again soon. Okay, bye.